Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience. I sincerely apologize for that. Electricity went out in the very middle. We had to go downstairs to the breaker, so I sincerely apologize. Thank you so much for your patience and for staying on the line. So let me see if I can pull this presentation back up for you. Okay, let's see. I'm going to share my screen with you once again. Can you see the screen? Can everyone see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Again,
Yes.
I sincerely apologize. Let's see, where were we? I think this is where we were. The last thing I said, we talked about reading assigned text, and I said that if you need to, please read it more than once. The other thing when reading text, we need to look at how the text is organized. Many times when we take a look at how the text is organized, it helps us to remember what's actually in the text if we pay attention to how it's organized. And again, I think I said you write down or you highlight important information. Don't just read it once. You read and you review it often. The norm is for every 1 hour that you're in class, you normally should study for at least 3 hours. Some folks seem to think that that is too much, but depending on the class, you may even need more, or you may need less. I would say do it according to what your needs are. Study with a group or a partner. Some people prefer to study by themselves. And if you do best studying by yourself, then that is what I suggest that you do. But if you need a group or a partner, get with the group or partner to study. The main thing is that you ask for help when you need it. The other thing is that you take good notes. Some students come to class and they don't take notes at all. That's not a good thing. That's not a healthy thing, because we can't remember every single thing that was said. Now, when I was in high school, I could go to class. I didn't have to take notes. I could pass, which means when I came to college, I didn't know how to take notes. And it wasn't as easy for me when I came to college because I didn't know how to take notes. The other thing is study when you're at your best. If you are a morning person, study in the morning. If you're a midday person, study at midday. And if you're an evening person, study in the evening. I'm a morning person, so I have a tendency to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I can do it from 4 to 5 o'clock or 4 to 6 o'clock in the morning, what a lot of people can get done in a whole day, because that is the best time for me. That's when I'm most active. That's when I'm most attentive. So I would say to you, study when you are most attentive. Now, what I put here are the resources that you can use, are the resources that you need to help you be successful. What do you notice about this diagram that I have here before you? The main thing about this diagram that I have here before you is that you are in the very center. You are in the very middle, and you are the person who decides whether or not you're going to be successful. You are the person who decides that if you need help, that you're going to reach out for help. And all of these things help you be successful. You are the person who decides if you're going to get to know your instructor as you should. You are the person who will decide if you're going to talk to your instructor or not. You are the person who would decide whether you're going to let your instructor know what's going on with you or not. You are the key person. You are the person that if you need help, you would get a tutor. You would come to the Student Success Center and ask us to assign you a tutor. We don't know that unless you ask us. So you are the person who decides if you need a tutor. You are the person that go to the library, do your research, study, ask the librarian for help if you can't find anything, or if you can't find what you're looking for. If you are looking for a reference, ask them to help you if you can't find it. If you go to the library and you've forgotten how to pull a book or something, ask them to help you pull that book. You are the person that determines if you're going to be successful. Again, study group or partner if you need it. And the internet is full of information, but you have to be careful how you pull information from the internet, but it is full of helpful information. Again, you are the person that decides. Oh, let me go back. Oh my goodness. Today is not the day for computers on this side. Bear with me. Now, studying for a test, you notice here that I put a picture. It's on the outside. It looks like they're relaxed. And I did that for a reason. You don't have to be in a cramped room. You don't have to be in a library. Study where you are enjoying and where it's convenient for you. That's where you should study at. So that's why I put that picture there, so that you can see you don't have to just study in one place. There are all kinds of places where you can study, okay? The main thing is that you study. Some people, study with music. Some people just need that quiet noise, the music or whatever to study. Some people are outside, some people are inside, whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel comfortable and what's going to help you absorb the information that you need to know. That's where you need to study at. Again, you need to make sure you review your notes, organize your notes where they make sense to you. They may not make sense to anybody else, but make sure they make sense to you. You can make note cards. You can highlight information in the book. You can highlight information on a card, whatever works for you. The other thing is make sure you ask questions. If something is not clear to you, ask questions. Many people don't ask questions. When things that seem simple, it may seem simple to you, but it may not seem simple to everybody else. For example, I was in a class the other day, and I had asked my class for a study schedule. For me, a study schedule is something that is kind of straightforward. You know what classes you're in, so you decide when you're going to study for those classes. That's more or less what a study schedule is, something just that simple. So with that, I said to my students, make a study schedule and let's take a look at it, because I wanted to see how much people were studying, because that would help me determine if they needed more help from me. So therefore, I wanted to know how much people were studying. And I said something about a study schedule, and I had been talking about a study schedule for some time. Nobody said anything. Finally, one little girl in the class asked me more or less.
He already jumped on it too.
More or less what a study schedule was. Could we mute our phones, please?
I saw it was snowing last night up there, so I posted it on Facebook.
Anyway, the young lady said to me,
Hold on, Sherry, hold on.
What a study schedule. She said, well, I'm not quite sure what you're asking for. When she said that, there were a number of people that said to me they weren't sure, but they didn't ask questions. So I assumed that everybody knows or everybody knew. So as a student, if something is not clear to you, you should say to your instructor, could you please clarify that for me? If you don't know, ask. Your instructor doesn't know what you don't know. So if you don't tell them they don't know, once they've gone over the information, they're going to assume that you know, that you have what you need. So let them know if you don't have what you need. All of us are not on the same page. People sometimes think that I know things I may not know because they're assuming because I'm a doctor, I know everything. Trust me, doctors don't know everything. We are not in every area. We're in our particular area. So don't assume that folks know stuff. The other thing is when you're studying for a test, don't procrastinate. Some of us wait to the day before a test to study for it. That's not good. If we study every single day, if we do a little bit every day, you would be surprised at how much you retain. And if you retain what you need, more than likely you would do well on the test. But if you don't study, if you procrastinate, you're not going to do well on your test. Just like if you were going for a job interview, you wouldn't wait until the minute before to investigate the company to see if the company is where you want to work. You are preparing yourself for life. So you need to learn how to plan. You need to learn how to organize yourself so that you're going to be successful. And if you need help doing it, you need to ask someone to help you do it. Again, you see this information that I've said before, read, 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 read. If we come to college and don't read, we're not going to be successful. I don't care who you are or what you are. If you come to college and you do not read, you are not going to be successful. A lot of reading happens in college, whether we want to do it or not. It's required reading. So we really have to do it. We should do it. The other thing is we need to eat well and get rest. Work-life balance for you is school life balance. You need to have a spiritual life. You need to have a healthy life. You need to exercise. You need to eat well. So don't stay up all night studying for a test because you procrastinated and then go in to test the next morning at 8 o'clock and think that you're at your best. You might can do that, but you're probably not at your best. So when you want to take a test or when you need to take a test, you want to make sure you're at your best. So you eat well, you go to bed, you make sure you get enough rest. You get up the next morning, you're full of energy, and you're ready for the test. A few things to do in class, and these I know you've heard. You've heard all of these things, everything that I'm talking about before. And I know you've heard your instructors say all of these things that you've heard me say today. We should listen because your instructor, they know what they're talking about. If you're in a class and you don't ask questions and you don't participate, you're not going to get all you can out of that class. Because if you don't understand something, you should ask. So if you're in a class, make sure you ask questions if there's something that you don't understand. Participate. Instructors love it when you participate, when you talk back to them. It's boring when you go to a class and you don't talk back to your instructor. So make sure you ask questions and that you participate in a class. Again, take notes so that you understand it. Some folks, they may not understand how you take notes. It's not important if they don't understand how you take notes. The main thing is you take notes where you can understand it. So when you recall those notes, they make sense to you. Again, you attend class, you pay attention in class. Turn off all of your electronic devices. Some of us, and sometimes I'm guilty too, we just cannot do without that phone. You need to turn it off. Your computers, when you bring them to class, if you're not taking notes, you need to turn them off. You need to pay attention to your instructor. What they're saying to you matters. It's important. So you need to pay attention to what they're saying to you. The other thing is, you should never come to class unprepared. Never. If an instructor gave you an assignment to read, if they ask you about that assignment or they ask you a question, you should be able to answer it. Why? Because you should be prepared. If they give you an assignment, you should read it. They have given it to you for a reason. They didn't give it to you for you to look at. They have given it to you for a reason. So you need to prepare, and you need to be prepared when you come to class. Again, sit where you can hear and see your professor. A number of students come to class and you think you're in a Baptist church. Are you guilty? A number of us are. The first thing we do when we come to class, we go straight to the back. And we shouldn't do that. We should go to where we can see and hear our professor. Again, tell your professor if you need help. They don't know if you don't need help. They're going to assume that you are comprehending what they are talking about. And if you've attended any of my other webinars, you've heard me say a million times, get to know your professor. Get to know your professor. They are here to help you. They are not your enemies. They are here to help you. So get to know them. Not only did you take a test, anytime you go to class, you should eat well, you should have enough rest, you should be able to talk back to your professors. If you don't eat well, if you don't rest as you should, because your body is going to tell you when it's tired. So if you don't do what your body tells you to do in regards to getting enough rest to go to class, you're not going to do well. Some of us think that we can make it on 1 hour of sleep. We are not at our best when we work or go to class on 1 hour of sleep. I don't care who you are. I've done it before. I remember when I was working on my dissertation. I almost finished my dissertation pretty much in one weekend. And that was because, believe it or not, I stayed up Friday night, I stayed up Saturday night, and I didn't go to bed until Sunday. And I was so tired, I was almost delirious. And that's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that you are well rested, that you are well fed, and that you are well prepared when you go to class. If you don't do those things, you're not going to be successful in class. And the purpose of going to school is because you really want to be successful. You want to do well. It's preparing you for life after school. It's preparing you for work. Now, because you want to be successful in class, here is a list of things that you should not do. If you do these things, you are not going to be successful. If you don't study, or if you don't study enough. As I said, the rule is for every 1 hour you're in class, you study for 3. Some of you may not need that. Some of you may need more, but you do it based on what your needs are. If you need to study for 4 hours for 1 hour class, do it. Most of you are not working. You don't have anything else to do but study. That is the reason you're here. So if you need more study time, take advantage of it. If you don't need it and you're successful and you're passing, don't do it. But if you need it, you should do it. Not attending classes. Again, you heard me tell you the story about where I asked my class this past week about passing. And some of them seem to think that if they don't attend class, they're still going to pass. It doesn't work that way. You've heard me say probably that dog don't hunt. It doesn't. If you do not attend class, you're not going to pass, more than likely. And some of us, we think that we can get to the end of the semester and we can beg our instructor to pass us because we expect for our instructor to feel sorry for us. That's not what it's about. You've heard me say you are an adult. You should act like an adult. Therefore, you should be responsible as an adult. You want us to treat you like an adult. So therefore, you should be responsible as an adult. You should not attend class and then expect for your instructor to pass you. It doesn't work that way. Again, procrastinating, do not procrastinate. Time moves fast. And when we procrastinate, it's amazing how fast time goes. We should do our best. If you do a little bit at a time, every single day, if you do a little bit at a time, you will get to where you need to go. Do not wait and try to cram and do it all at one time. It doesn't work. Again, not asking questions if you don't understand, you're not going to be successful. If you do not understand, you should ask questions. Your professor is there to help. They are not your enemies. They don't know what you don't know. So therefore, you need to ask questions. Not doing your homework again, not doing your assignments. Instructors give you homework and assignments because it relates to what they're talking about in class. And when they do that, it helps you to comprehend what they have already told you. So when you don't do your homework and when you don't do your assignments, you're missing out on an opportunity. And if you don't ask for help, whether it's your instructor, whether it's the Student Success Center, whether it's the library, whatever, if you need help, you should ask for it. We have some students that come to the Student Success Center every day, and these students are progressing. We see a difference in their attitude. They're more comfortable with going to class because they are not afraid to ask for help. They're being proactive. If you're not being proactive about your education, then again, you remember the diagram that I put up there? That's on you. You are the person who determines if you're going to be successful or not. You are the person who determines if you're going to be proactive or not. Of course, you have all of the resources. You have your instructor, you have the library, all of those resources that I put there for you. You have those resources and they are there to help you. But if you don't use them, it's not doing you a bit of good. So use your resources that are available to you. Not taking notes is also not healthy. People come to class and they sit there sometimes like a knot on the log and they don't take notes. Again, you do not remember everything that your instructor said. Yes, your instructors, they often say to you, you will see this again, and some students only write that down. But as a student, you are responsible for every single thing that is in that class. Every single thing that is in that class, whether your instructor tells you to write it down or not, you're responsible for whatever goes on in that class. You're responsible on a test. So you can't say you didn't know. So not taking notes is not a good thing. And it can cause you not to be successful in your class. So you should take notes. Now, what this diagram is here, is what this sheet is. We talked about best practices. We talked about resources. We talked about studying for a test. We talked about how to be successful in class. And we talked about things that you should not do. What I would suggest that you do here is I would take these categories, and we talked about more than one or two things. I would just put down two things that would be helpful for me, something that I could use to help me be better in the future. Of the things that you have heard, write down two best practices that you're going to practice in the future that will help you become a better student. Just write down two things that will help you to become a better student, okay? Resources, write down two resources that you're going to utilize that you haven't been utilizing that will help you become a better student. Write down two things, and you can do more than two because we talked about more than two, but not to overwhelm yourself. Just start off maybe doing two. And I am going to record, or I think we're recording this. I may record the next one because I feel bad that we got cut off in the middle because our electricity went out. But I may record a second one and not this one because, as I said, we were disconnected in the very middle. But I will record this and I will put it on the Student Success Center website so you can go back and refer to it to see what they were. Because we talked about things you can do in class too to be successful. So just write down two items for everything that we talked about to help you become a better student. And I do believe that if you do it in small increments, you will become a better student. It will help you. And if you have questions, I am located in the Student Success Center. We're in Swain Hall now on the second floor in the 204 room. My room is 204. So if you have questions, please do not hesitate to stop by the Student Success Center. We have a Student Success Advisor here. We have a Student Success Coordinator here, and I'm also here to help you as well as tutors. So if you need help, please do not hesitate to stop by. And if you want help with implementing these best practices or resources or anything that we talked about here, we can help you do that. That's the reason we're here. If you have questions, that is the end of my presentation. If you have questions, please feel free to write your questions at the top, and I will be happy to answer them, or raise your hand or unmute yourself and just ask a question if you have questions about anything that I've talked about today. And sometimes I talk a little fast, so if I said something that was not clear, or if I said something that confused you, please ask me to clarify, and I will be happy to do that for you. Also, Ms. Ball informed me that they had sent some information out, and the information that she sent out did not have attachments, and it should have had attachments. So she said that that is something that they're working on, and they're going to resend it. So just bear with them and know that it's coming and that they're working on it. Okay. If there are no questions, and there appear to be not any, thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for your attention. And I hope that I said something that will be useful for you. Okay. Have a great day. And again, thank you so much for attending. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.